Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea, something called the Information Scarcity Secret. And trust me, it's a concept that might just change the way you go after your biggest goals. So let's just start with what the source calls a brutal truth. Read that. Does it hit home at all? You know, that feeling that your own brain, the very thing that cooks up all your best ideas, sometimes feels more like a prison than a rocket ship? Well, that feeling is tied directly to our big question for today. I mean, think about it. You have that amazing, world-changing idea in the middle of the night. You're buzzing, you can't wait to get started. So you tell a friend, maybe you post about it, and then what happens? A week goes by and nothing. The fire's just gone. Why does sharing our goals seem to kill them? To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at something called the intelligence trap. And look, this isn't about you failing or not being motivated enough. It's a weird psychological quirk that trips up some of the smartest, most creative people out there. And here's the paradox that's right at the heart of this whole thing. Just the simple act of telling people your plan. It feels good, right? It feels like you've already made progress. But as we're about to find out, that feeling is a total illusion, and it's a dangerous one.
So what's actually happening in our brains to cause this? Well, it all comes down to what our source material calls the dopamine secret. This is the neuroscience that explains why talking about your goals can be the worst thing you can do for them.
And the solution, the main idea for today, is something called information scarcity. Okay, think about it like this. Your goal is like a battery with a limited amount of energy. The whole idea here is to guard that energy, to be super strategic about who you tell and when. You have to save the reward for doing the work, not just for talking about the work. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating, because you can see the trap laid out so clearly. Step 1, you've got your big goal. Step 2, you tell somebody, you get all excited. And then step 3 happens. All that praise you get gives your brain a little hit of dopamine. See, your brain's reward system can't tell the difference between a high five for saying you'll do something and the actual reward of doing it. It's a biological hack that tricks your brain into thinking the job's already done, and poof, there goes your motivation. So the most important thing is to understand our own habits. To do that, we're going to use a little tool from our source called the logic scanner. We're going to use it to look for the common psychological patterns that walk us right into this dopamine trap. All this scanner is really for is self-awareness. It's about figuring out what your specific default setting is when it comes to sharing your big ideas. Because once you see the pattern, that's when you can consciously break it. Ready? Let's start the scan. Okay, first result coming in. And here we have it, the validation seeker. This is when your first instinct isn't to start working, but to get approval for the work. You're chasing the likes, the wow, that's a great idea comments. And pretty soon, those things become the reward, instead of the satisfaction you'd get from actually doing the thing. All right, let's see what else the scanner picks up. Another common one here. Ah, yes, the premature celebrator. You are so good at painting this amazing, vivid picture of your future success that your brain gets lost in the fantasy. Just telling the story gives you all the emotional satisfaction of actually achieving the goal, and it completely short-circuits the drive you need to get through the hard parts. And finally, the scanner has locked onto one last common frequency. Now this one is really subtle. The perfectionist procrastinator. You talk about the plan endlessly. You refine it. You discuss it. You get feedback on it because talking about the perfect strategy feels so productive. But really, it's just a defense mechanism to avoid the messy, imperfect, difficult reality of just getting started. Okay, so we've seen the trap and we've scanned the different patterns. Now we get to the most important part, turning this awareness into action. It's time to ask, what's your frequency? So as a quick recap, we've got 3 main patterns here. The validation seeker, who needs that external praise to get going. The premature celebrator, who lives in the story of future success. And the perfectionist procrastinator, who uses planning as a way to avoid doing. So I want you to take a second and just be really honest with yourself. Looking at that list, which one of those patterns resonates the most with you? Which one made you think, oof, yeah, that's me? Go ahead and drop the number in the comments, 1, 2, or 3. Recognizing your pattern is a huge first step. But the second and much more powerful step is to decide right now which goal, which idea is so important to you that you're going to protect its potential with strategic silence.